didn't realize it was such an honor to go trick-or-treating with you.
Yeah, I mean, we know where to get the full-size candy bars. We figured you'd want in.
Halloween isn't always fun and games in Hawkins. Let's break down Season 2, Episode 2 of Stranger Things. What's up, you lovely people? Lisa here, and welcome back to another episode of What Happened, where I recap and break down some of mine and hopefully your favorite TV shows. Now, on this episode, it is time to dive into Chapter 2, Trick or Treat Freak. Let's just say Halloween in Hawkins doesn't turn out to be that fun of a night for our pals, especially since it's their favorite night of the year. And Jonathan might actually get a chance with Nancy after all. Starting off with Hopper, he is still investigating the crops that have been damaged, and while all the other owners think it's one of the others sabotaging them, Hopper ends up finding trails of that gross upside down goo in the trees. He's spending so much of his time worrying about these crops that he breaks his promise to Eleven of coming home early to get fat, eating candy, and watching scary movies together. Now this was his compromise since Eleven wanted to go trick-or-treating, and she even had it all planned out with the classic sheet ghost costume. Hey, it worked for E.T., right? It could work for her? Well, Hopper crushes her hopes and dreams for a night of being a normal kid when he shows up late and she doesn't even let him in the house at first. Now when he enters, she locks herself in her room, and being the smart one, she's already brought the TV from the living room with her. We see her channel surf and eventually end up on a channel of static. She then blindfolds herself and she's transported to some other kind of realm where she can see Mike, who's trying to call her on his radio. She faintly says his name, and it seems like for a minute Mike heard her, but just as she reaches out to touch his face, he gives up for the night, walking away, leaving Eleven with her bloody nose and crying. This episode, we also get to see what happened with Eleven from the time we saw her in the last season. She found a gate from the upside down back to the real world, made it through, and then wandered through the woods for a long time. She eventually finds the box in the woods with Hopper's Eggos in it. We also see that as soon as she escaped the upside down, she went straight to Mike's house, but the cops and the feds and the lab people were everywhere, so she couldn't get to him, but she watched him through a window and he definitely felt her presence. As for Dr. Owens, I still can't figure out what he's up to exactly, but he's totally bad news. Now in the last episode, towards the end, it seemed like the power in the lab went out, causing the crazy buttons to light up and go out. In this episode, a yellow suit ventures into the upside down as Dr. Owens watches the guy's body cam. We see the guy find a fuse box and he replaces the fried fuse, and all the boards and switches come back to life. We then see Dr. Owen and his stress ball rewatching the tapes from when Will was describing his episodes. As we hear Will saying he felt frozen with fear and all this, Dr. Owens, he starts to kind of tense up and turn off his TV. Now it makes me wonder if maybe Dr. Owens has actually been through maybe what Will was, possibly at a younger age, or something, because why would hearing Will's description make him squeeze his stress ball even harder? For Nancy, she's still struggling with the guilt of what to do about Barb, and she's about to snap because she just can't keep pretending everything's okay. Steve tells her they can't tell anyone the truth or they'll end up in jail or have their families destroyed. She suggests they go get sheet-faced at Tina's Halloween party and act like normal teens for a night to kind of forget all the worries, and Nancy does just that. She goes and gets shit-faced and ends up with special punch all down the front of her white sweater. Nancy then proceeds to tell Steve that everything is bullshit, like him pretending everything's okay, like they're in love, and she basically says in her drunken way that she isn't in love with Steve and he's crushed. Well, Jonathan gets to the party, and as soon as he gets there, he meets a girl named Samantha, and it seems like there could be a possible love connection there, but it's interrupted when he sees Nancy run off to the bathroom, and he eventually is the one to drive her drunk ass home and tuck her into bed.
Jonathan.
Remember that creepy monster that Will saw in the shadow of the clouds? Well, he's drawn a picture of it and Joyce finds it. Now she's extra worried about him, so she takes the drawing to Hopper. She's worried because Will lied to her about what it was, and he always talks about his episodes like they're not visions or in the past, but like they're real. Hopper just says he thinks Dr. Owens is right about the trauma and the anniversary and everyone on edge, and it's gonna get better in time. Also, Hopper definitely still has the hots for Joyce, and it seems like he's got some kind of deal with Dr. Owens to keep Will seeing him that I really don't like. For the boys, it's Halloween and they're super excited to wear their Halloween costumes to school. Their buzz is killed though when they realize no one else at school is wearing their costumes. Dustin and Lucas finally get up the courage to go talk to new girl Max, and they invite her to come trick-or-treating with them, but she just kind of walks away without giving an answer. After school, she's late and keg stand Billy says next time she's going to have to skate home. I then got real Goonie feels when Billy in his Camaro sees Dustin, Mike, and Lucas riding their bikes in the streets, and he tries to piss Max off by speeding up and basically running them off the road. Yeah, he's definitely an evil bastard, but he was set off because Max and Billy were having a fight in the car about how they had to move to Hawkins, and Billy implied that it was Max's fault, but she implied that it was his. The boys then set out trick-or-treating with Bob's fancy VHS camcorder in tow. Then this happens.
You should have seen the look on your faces.
Max joins them trick-or-treating and Dustin and Lucas buddy up to her, but Mike is pissed because, he didn't agree to invite her, and I feel like he doesn't want another girl in the group because 11 is the only one allowed. Will ends up getting left behind and having another one of his episodes when a bunch of kids call him Zombie Boy. He calls out for Mike, and as he sees the huge shadow monster thing rise up and he goes to hide, he's finally found by Mike, and Mike takes him home where Will opens up to him about what the monster is or what he thinks it might be and how it makes him feel like he's trapped between the upside down and the real world, and he also describes this weird noise he was hearing. Will doesn't want Mike to tell the others because they just wouldn't understand, and Mike says 11 would, and then he tells Will about how he's been feeling about 11 still being around and like he feels like he's going crazy.
If we're both going crazy, then we'll go crazy together, right? Yeah. Crazy together.
When Dustin returns home from trick-or-treating, that crazy noise and rattling in his trash can is still happening. So what the heck is in there? Could it be a gremlin? I don't know, we don't get to find out this episode. So now for my takeaways from this episode, and reminder, I'm watching an episode making a recap, so I haven't watched the whole season yet. 11 definitely misses Mike just as much as he misses her, and I feel like that feeling is going to be so much that she's going to end up busting out of Hopper's place just to go see him at some point. Hopper definitely knows some of what Dr. Owens is up to, and I still think Dr. Owens sees something in Will that maybe brings back some of his own, like PTSD or something, or maybe he's just super worried about whatever that work they're doing that Will can maybe ruin it. As far as some of my favorite lines and moments in this episode, let's roll the tape.
Will? What are you doing?
Peeing? You are such a nerd. Shut up. No wonder you only hang out with boys.
It even opens and closes. Look, look, look. Voila! It's cool, right? No? Okay, but, so...
You see these hands?
Yeah.
You know why they look like that?
Because you're old?
You damn straight.
Be safe.
I hope it doesn't suck.
Hey, kid. Give me some of that candy, would you?
No way.
All right. How about now?
So that wraps up this episode of What Happened. Hit the comments down below with your favorite moments, lines, and theories from episode 2. I'm going to go watch episode 3, and as soon as that recap is done, it's going to be right over here, as well as possibly a whole season overview once I get it all done. Until then, I'm Lisa. Thanks for watching. See you soon.